How do I sell my books directly to readers and cut out these retailers who want to take all my money? Today, we're going to talk about just that. We're starting a 4-week video series where I'm going to be talking about all the different ways that you can sell your books directly to your readers. Stay tuned. Hi, I'm MK Williams. I'm an author and independent publisher. I love sharing my insights about all things self-publishing with you. Before I get into the details of today's topic, don't forget to subscribe. You'll be notified when I put out new videos each week about all things self-publishing and how to make a career out of being an author. So as I said in the intro, this is going to be the start of a 4-video series on how you as an author can sell your books directly to customers through different platforms. So usually most self-published authors and most authors in general are selling their books through Amazon, Barnes & Noble. They're selling through a retailer, and that means there's a markup or there's a wholesale discount, and there are costs associated, and the cost that the consumer pays is nowhere near what the author receives at the end of the day. So if you can sell directly to your consumers, that makes it a bit more profitable for you, helps you build a relationship with the consumer a bit more, and there's lots of benefits. So I'm going to be going over 4 different methods. There are a lot out there, so I'm only going to go over the ones that I've personally tried because I want to share that firsthand knowledge with you. I'll probably try some of these other methods and systems as well and update that later. So this 4-part series may end up being a much longer series by the time you're watching it, but I'm starting out with just the 4 that I've tried so I can share with you pros and cons and what I like and don't like about them. So the first week, we're going to be going over Google Forms. So selling autographed copies or just unsigned copies of your books directly to readers through Google Forms. So I think this is the easiest one to set up, but in my opinion, it also has the most cons associated with it. So in general, if you use the internet in the year 2020, you likely have some kind of a Gmail account or you can easily access one. So through Gmail and the Google ecosystem, you can set up an account for free. And that means you have access to all of the different items available, which includes mail, calendar, and forms is one of them. So the forms are very easy to set up. They have templates and you can just start to create. So I found some other online forms to use as a template. There were other authors who were sending out autographed copies through Google Forms. So I looked at those to kind of get an idea of, okay, like what are the directions they're putting on there? What is the information they're asking for? So for my Google form that I have where people can order autographed copies of books directly from me, I asked for the person's name, their email address, which book they want to purchase, what autographed message they would like, if any. Some people just want it to be signed. Some people want it, make this out to Susie, make this out to John, whatever. So I can put that in there. And that way, if they want multiple books as well, they can also request that all on one form. So other people who have their books online, you can always look at their forms for inspiration, whether it's a series, whether it's a one-off, maybe a book launch, so they just have an order form for one book. They have multiple books, so it's definitely really helpful to take a look at what's out there and kind of see what other people have maybe already optimized and learned from. That's a good way to do that. So the pros in this case, as I said, it's super easy to set up. Like, who doesn't have a Google account? Another big pro is that you can add as much or as little detail as you want, right? Like, you're able to build this form. It is super easy. There's no coding involved. It's literally type in the question, type in the options or the answers that you want them to put in, or just say email. It does all the work for you. So it's super quick. You can get this started in 5 minutes. You can easily drop the link for it because they provide a long link and then they can shorten the link too. You can drop that on your social media, drop that on your website, put that anywhere you want it to go where people can find it. Great. The cons. Okay, there's no point of sale. So at that point, it's just an order form. So I had to set up a automation to notify me when somebody completed the form, because at first people were completing these forms and I just wasn't seeing anything. And then I went in, thankfully at the end of the day, I had only missed it by a couple hours, but okay, now I still have to create an invoice, send it over, do all that stuff. And that person may have forgotten. I mean, most people are pretty smart, but some people, they forget the stuff that they do in the course of a day. So I always want to make sure I'm taking that order form and I'm processing it as soon as I can because there's no point of sale. So there's now this one extra step between the consumer saying, hey, I want this, and actually making the purchase. So that is a downside to this option. It's very, as I mentioned there, it's very manual as well. So if you aren't getting a lot of volume, that's fine, right? Like for me, I get maybe an autographed order request like once a month. It's not that much, and I don't have to keep that much inventory for it, thank goodness. But if I had an order coming in every day, that would be a lot to manage to stop out of my day to say, okay, I've set up the invoice, it's set up correctly, it's going to the right person, it's for the right amount, like all those things. So it's very manual. But again, if you're not getting a lot of volume, or you're just anticipating a high volume coming when you're doing a pre-order or some kind of special promotion, that's totally fine. But I do think if this is going to be something that is more consistent for you, you're going to want to maybe find another system. And kind of going to the first point as well, like it's very manual, but there's no point of sale. So like you're making it that one step harder for the customer to give you their money for the books. And you always want to make that as frictionless as possible. And there's friction inherently in this process. So taxes are another thing to consider here. So when a customer buys a book on Amazon or any other online retailer, they handle all the tax for you. Super easy, super efficient. You don't have to do a thing. But with this one, you have to think about that. So thankfully, I have PayPal where I send all my invoices. I can kind of add that in there. But it's another thing you have to consider and say, do I want to deal with this headache? Is it going to be worth it? If it's, going to be a lot of volume, that's great. But if you're getting to this point in your author business, hopefully you're already talking to an accountant, or you're already talking to a lawyer, you're talking about getting an LLC set up. So just keep that in mind. With mo money, mo problems, right? As you generate more money that way, then you really have to make sure taxes are set. Another thing is shipping. So again, just because they put in the order form, I sent them the PayPal invoice and they paid it, I still have to make sure it gets shipped. So that means I have to be able to look at my inventory. I have to be able to update that form to say, hey, this is out of stock, or this is limited stock, to put that out there. Because if somebody goes and fills out that form and buys out my last copy of the Infinite that I have in stock, I need to then go and remember to update it and say this is out of stock until the next set of books comes in. So that is something just to continue to remember when you're doing something like this, is it is manual on all ends. Keep that in mind. And of course, you're going to have to then take the books and send them out. So that's either going to the post office, going to FedEx. I'm going to be doing a video coming up here in the next few weeks on media mail, specifically for the United States Postal Service. It can be really helpful, save you a lot of money, but you're either going down to the post office or you have to do the fancy labels to do at home, which I don't do. But it's an extra step. So you really have to decide, is this worth the effort? I think it's something nice to add. Again, I haven't had a crazy amount of volume with it where it's become unreasonable and I've had to switch to a more expensive system, but that's one of the things to keep in mind. So selling directly to your customers through Google Forms, is it easy to set up? Yes. It gives a nice way where people can buy the book directly from you, and therefore you're keeping a bigger cut of the royalty from that sale. But there's a lot of work that comes with it. So I'm going to be going over a couple other methods you can use to directly sell your book in the next couple weeks. So stay tuned for that. If you found this information helpful, please give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe so you can be here in the upcoming weeks when I talk about these other options. That also lets YouTube know that you're finding value from the information I'm putting out, can get it in front of other authors like us. Now you can get back to writing your book.